her goal is not in her.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Dan H and welcome to the project. Now, I just finished up editing the video in which you are about to receive, so I jumped in General Grievous, figured I'd give you an injury update. This thing is still on, it still sucks. I'm going in for my MRI tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and I'm a little bit fearful because it's been a few weeks now. Time is ticking on. You can see by this awesome beard that I'm growing in. It's probably the longest I've ever had it, so yeah, it's definitely been a while, and the pain has not subsided, so I'm fearful it might be worse than I thought. So keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and I need a segue now to get to the main video, so stick with me as I roll this ZJ 30 feet into the driveway, and I'll take you back 30 days into the past. So let's start the show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the project. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the project. I'm Dan H, and today we're going to do a coolant flush on this 1998 ZJ with the 4.0. We're going to flush all the coolant, and hopefully we're going to be able to clean out that heater core because it's been making that nasty gargling sound since I got it. Yep, that gargling noise has been driving me crazy. It's been doing that ever since I got this ZJ. And also, I believe the coolant in this system is disgusting. If you remember from my VIC video, I changed out the coolant bottle, and that was disgusting inside as well. Oh, that's gross. I'm gonna oh man, look at this. Can you see that junk in there? Oh, that's terrible. So we're going to empty and flush out all the components of the cooling system. We're going to empty the radiator, we're going to empty the engine block, we're going to empty the coolant bottle, and most importantly, I want to flush out that radiator really well. Once that's done, we're going to install a thermostat and thermostat gasket, and hopefully when we're done, we'll have a nice air-free coolant system with no bubbling, no gurgling, and maybe I'll actually get some hot air circulating through these vents. So, yeah, let's take a look at all the parts we're going to need to get started. Alright guys, so for this project we're going to use a thermostat. This is part number 5200195. This is the temperature of the thermostat. It's actually inside the part number, which is cool. It's a Motorad. I got this from Advanced Auto Parts, and 195 again is the temperature. These 4 O's, well, you're going to need a 4.0 to do this coolant flush also, but the operating temperature of these Jeeps is about 200 to 210 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to get a thermostat that's just about close to that. Sometimes people overheat and they throw in thermostats that are much cooler, like 160 or 180, but that's not a good idea to do because you want the Jeep or your vehicle to run really close to its operating temperature because it performs more efficiently. Now, if you're having an overheating problem, chances are it is not the thermostat that's the issue, it's something else. So you might want to dig in deeper to solve that problem and not just go ahead and do a thermostat swap that won't give you the right temperature. So we got the thermostat, we have the thermostat gasket. This is a Felpro. It is a 35024, and coming down here we got a baby pool. Now this is going to catch most of the splashing, but I got a bucket to catch the direct drippings. I got a funnel. You're probably going to need a funnel. Here is my coolant. I'm going with the regular concentrated formula. Now, usually you would mix this up 50-50 with your water, but not many people know that you can actually mix this to a higher concentration. So I'm going to probably mix this closer to a 70% antifreeze, 30% water, just because it can handle more extreme temperatures. So we'll see how I do on the mixing. I got a lot more than I need to compensate for any spillages or any mess ups, which is always a good chance I'm going to do. And it's easier to have more than less, and I'll have some extra, so that's pretty cool. And here we go, we got some distilled water. Now you want distilled because regular water or tap water, it has minerals, it could clog things up. So yeah, distilled water is what you're gonna want. If you don't want to buy water, you could distill water yourself. You collect all the vapors in a collector, and then you have it cooling in a condensing tube, which is usually just a bunch of coils of copper, and then you have it drip down into a pan. You could do that. It's probably a lot harder than just buying these, so buy some distilled water. We're gonna use some hose water to do all the flushing, and I don't know, I got some tubing in this pump just in case I need to pump out some liquids. So yeah, we're gonna get started. The first thing we're gonna do is drain this sucker, and we're gonna get that radiator hose, and we're gonna open that up, let it drip, and we're also gonna drip from the petcock. I don't think you can see it, usually down here. We're gonna open that up and let that drip too. All right, let's do it. Alright guys, here we go. I'm underneath the vehicle, and the first thing I gotta do to access everything from the bottom is to remove this little shroud. The XJs don't have it, so lucky you XJ guys. It just pops off, drips in your face a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna put the camera down and use two hands. Alright, there we go. That annoyance is out of the way. And this is the petcock. We're going to give this a nice counterclockwise turn once I get a bucket under here. And over here, on the driver's side, is the lower radiator hose. Now I'm going to take this off by undoing this screw on the hose clamp, and I'm going to pull this off, let this drip into the bucket. When you put the hose clamp on, see if you can do it from the top, because this is going to be a real pain in the butt to try to take this off. Probably going to have to use a 8mm socket or something. So I'll get this off, and I'm going to drain everything out. And this, guys, is why people lift their trucks. I need a shorter bucket. Wow, that's disturbing. I got the petcock out and nothing has dripped from this radiator. It's probably so gummed up it won't come out the bottom. Let me relieve some air pressure. What is going on in here? Alright, here we go. Able to get this hose clamp off like this. Oh, there we go. It's starting to leak on me already. Good, what a relief. Glad there was some coolant in here. Yep, every time. I feel you, Matt. Too bad I didn't have chicken water in this one. Might have tasted a little better. But yep, this stuff does taste a little bit sweet, and that's why animals drink it and die, so don't leave this stuff around. Dispose of it properly. You know that old rap. Ugh. That sucked. So here's a couple of these empty containers I had from when I did my Commander coolant flush. I'm just going to go ahead and pour the coolant right into here. And it looks like about maybe 2 gallons, maybe a little less. And I'll get rid of this stuff right away. Alright, now I'm just going to pump out the coolant in the coolant reservoir. I know this stuff is pretty clean. I just filled it up, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of everything and put all new stuff in, new fresh coolant. And there we go. Coolant bottle, nice and empty. And it's still clean in there, so that's nice. Okay, on to the heater core. We're gonna do a heater core flush now. Alright, so now I'm gonna start disconnecting some of these heater core hoses. This tube comes right out of the thermostat housing, goes down along here, and it goes into the heater core right on the side closer to the middle. Goes through the heater core, circulates water through the fins. That's what gives you the hot air. Then the water or the coolant comes out, and it goes back into this tube. This tube actually goes down towards the water pump area. So, alright, we're gonna disconnect this tube, and we're gonna blast the hose through this tube so it comes out the in. This way, if there's any blockages, it won't push the blockage further in, it'll push it back out. Hopefully, so that's what we're gonna do. And you know what, after that, maybe I'll just disconnect this upper radiator hose and then I could get to the thermostat. Alright, so I'm going to start disconnecting some hoses. Alright, this one goes into the heater core. This was a hose clamp. Use a screwdriver for that. And this one's like a stock, I don't know, what do you call it? It's a compression clamp? I don't know. Just give that a squeeze, slide it down, and the return. There. Now the return is off. Alright. Going to blast water into here. And then we'll catch it coming out of here. Alright, so I got my hose looped up over the mirror and down through the hood. It's going to take some tension off the hose. And I'm going to blast it in through the out. And I took my inlet hose and I was going to catch it in the bucket up here, but it just wasn't long enough. So I'm just dropping this right down. And I'm going to catch it all in the baby pool. And one other thing, guys, when you're up in here and you're flushing, try not to soak your distributor. Kind of splash a little bit, but I was mindful to keep it out of the way of direct saturation. So, yeah, keep that in mind. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and flush out the radiator and give it a nice blast, and hopefully it'll flush out all the nasty crap that's blocking the petcock. Alright guys, well that wasn't an exact science, but it did the job. I just kind of indexed my finger to where the hole was, lined up the hose, blasted at full speed until the chunks came out of the lower radiator hose outlet of the radiator. Kept doing that till all the water ran clear, and I'm pretty sure I got the clog out. Now we'll get some tools to take off thermostat housing. Alright. Take off the upper radiator hose. These things were not put on in an accessible manner. When you put these back together, or whenever you're putting a hose clamp on, always be mindful of the direction the head is facing. This way you can access it again when it's time to take it apart. So just make sure you twist it or rotate it to whatever direction you can get a screwdriver on. Come on, baby. You won't have to suffer. Alright. There we go. Upper radiator hose is off. And I'm going to go ahead and take off this coolant sensor. Just push the clip in. That slides right out. Easy peasy. Now, I'm going to get to the radiator, what is this? The thermostat housing bolts. The top one, easy as pie. It's a 13 millimeter. I take that back. Fan shroud's in the way. It's a lot different than the XJ. XJ has much easier access at the bottom and at the top. Let's try this again. Skunked again. Alright, I've been going about this all wrong. I blame myself. We need total surprise, an airborne attack. This beast will never expect. I'm gonna change the game. I'm gonna switch from 13 millimeter socket to this ratcheting wrench here, and I'm gonna see if I can put this on the head and make sure it's not loosened. Ah, there we go. That's it. Now it's coming off. Alright, it's much better doing it this way. You just come right down, and there we go. Just enough room to clear the fan shroud. We're gonna go and take this off just like this. There we go. There's the first one. Alright guys, I got the upper housing bolt out, and now to get to the lower one, which you can barely see it, it's under here. I'm gonna have to loosen up the belt. So to do that, I'm just gonna loosen up the belt pulley right down there, and then I'm going to take the tension off with this bolt up here. Alright, that pulley loosens up nice and easy with the 15 millimeter, and so does this tensioner bolt. Another 15 millimeter. There we go. That's loosening up rather nicely. Hey guys, remember that time last year when I was taking apart Beach Jeep and I snapped this bolt? It's also 15 millimeter. Wow, corrosion and rust suck. Good old rust. Alright, so now that I got the tension off of the belt, I'm going to go ahead and use this swiveling socket wrench with a 13 millimeter deep dish to go ahead and get on that bolt. Also, I'm going to use this long closed end box wrench, and I'm going to push or pull on the edge of this to line this up against the tension of the belt to where this needs to go on the head of the bolt. Alright, let's give it a shot. Alright, that worked. Let me show you what I did. Alright, so I used this box wrench to push down on the socket to get it right on the top of the head of that bolt. And now I could loosen it. Oopsie. Alright, got it. Look at that. It worked. There we go. So here's the housing. Nice and filthy. Gonna clean this up. Gonna clean up the surface area where the gasket mounts to. Here is the old gasket. It is stuck onto the head. Looks like they use a little bit of RTV to stick that on. That's cool. I'll probably do the same thing. And this thermostat is looking gross. I'm glad I'm putting a new one on. Yeah, there it is. Yuckies. And we can see that the old thermostat was 195. So that's good. I'm glad the correct thermostat was in here. Goodbye, old thermostat. Alright, once you remove your thermostat, it is very important that you clean up all your surfaces, not just the thermostat housing surface, but you want to clean up the surface of the head in here. You want to get off any residue or any old gasket sealer. You want to make sure that nothing will prevent a good stick for your next gasket. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this surface, then I'm going to flush out the engine. Alright, now I'm going to flush the last part of the cooling system, the engine block itself. Alright guys, I'm going to use the wire wheel to clean up the surface for the gasket. I'm going to do it on the thermostat housing, and I'm going to do it on the head down there. Whenever you're using a wire wheel, it's a great idea to use glasses, because man, you do not want to get a metal bristle in your eye. So, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and clean off where the hose mounts also. Alright, there's just a couple spots I couldn't get to with my wire brush on the drill, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the scraper. Nice and easy. Don't want to gouge anything. I want to keep it smooth. I'm just going to gently scrape the surface. And yeah, here we go. Going to get ready to put the thermostat in. Alright guys, I'm ready to put the new thermostat in. The mounting surface is clean and dry. And again, this is a Motorad 5200 and 195 for the temperature. We're just going to open this up, and we're going to see that this is a 195. You know what? Going over this, there is no little safety valve. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drill a small 1/8 inch hole, maybe even smaller, just so I could let some pressure out or water through in case this ever fails. Alright, here is my hole. It's actually a 7/64. That's the hole I drilled. It was really easy. I just rested this on a block of wood and popped it right through. This is thick enough to where it didn't warp, so it worked out really good. Alright, so now I'm going to take a little RTV and just going to use this as kind of like a glue. I don't really need a gasket because it came with a gasket, so I'm not going to seal this up. Just going to wipe this on like a glue so I could stick this in place and let it hold where I need to hold while I jostle around the thermostat housing when I put it all back together. I'm just going to wipe a little bit, very thin, very even, right on the inner lip, just like so. And I'm going to be very careful not to block the hole I just drilled. Alright, that looks good. Alright, let me bring it in as close as I can so you can see what's going on in there. Alright, here we have the opening for the thermostat. It's right in the head, and you can see that little groove. That little groove is right where the thermostat hooks into. So I'm just going to put it in, and it should click on right in place. So pardon me, I'm using one hand to get this on and one hand to hold the camera. Let's see what I can do here. There we go. I set that in just like so. And there's my hole at the top. You want the hole as close to 12 o'clock top center as you can get it. This way any air will pass through. This way you can have this flow a little bit even though the thermostat is closed. Another thing is you want to make sure you put this in the correct way. The spring and all that nonsense goes inside the head, because the way this works is this is closed, so you have no water coming out of your engine circulating through the radiator. And what happens when it's in this state is the coolant circulates through the engine, it gets nice and hot, the spring expands, and then it opens up, and then the coolant circulates through the radiator. So yeah, This is again 195. Operating temperature is 200 to 210 degrees, and if this works, everything should be running nicely. So we got this seated very level, very flush, and now we're going to put the gasket on the cap and close it all up. Alright, here is our thermostat gasket, and again it's a Felpro number 35024. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Don't rip your gasket. Rip the package. I should have a knife for this. There we go. This is just a thin paper gasket. Some gaskets, I'm not sure what they're made of, but they have a sticker that you peel off and stick on. This one doesn't. It's Felpro. I like Felpro, so I'm sticking with it. But what I will do is... But what I will do is I'm going to lay a little bit of RTV on it just to get it stuck on like a glue. Again, I'm not using RTV as a gasket because I have a gasket. Alright, there we have it. It's clean and dry with a very thin, even layer of RTV. And I'm going to go ahead and mate the gasket on. Okay, just going to line up the holes as best as possible. Brush off any dirt or junk. Now I get to put this on. Woohoo! Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the smaller bolt, which is the lower bolt, in the housing first. And then I'm going to gently, carefully line this up because I do not want to knock the thermostat out of its little home. You do not want to misalign the thermostat. If it drops down on you and you tighten it up, you can have the thermostat lip actually block the gasket, and then it won't seal. Then you'll be leaking out of the bottom and you won't know why. That's not good for anybody. Try to reach around, line this up. Trying to hand tighten this just to get it in the proper orientation. All right, top one's in, a little bit firm. Now back to the bottom. And again, to get to the lower bolt, I just slid this socket wrench through this closed end socket and tightened it down using this to steer around the bolt. So that worked really well. And now I'm not sure the torque specs, but I'm just going to go back and forth, rotating between the top bolt and the bottom bolt, just snugging them on. Don't want to over tighten and you don't want to strip it. Alright, I'm going to start buttoning up all these pipes and hoses, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap this petcock plug with a little bit of Teflon tape, just once around. Got this tip from Doug. He is the man. Thank you, brother. I never ever thought of doing this, but just a little Teflon tape around the threads to make it easier to come off, because this is plastic. You don't want to put tools on this thing and snap it off. It's plastic. You want it to be coming off hand tight. So that's on there. I'm going to button up all these hoses and then we'll start the refill. Alright guys, this is what I was talking about before. When you tighten on your hose clamps, you want to make sure you position them in a way so you can take them back off again once everything is back on your vehicle. You want to make sure they're easily accessible so you don't bust your knuckles or strain yourself trying to get a screw or a socket on these heads. So tighten them back up and keep them clear and free of obstructions. Alright guys, so what I did right there was I flipped the ZJ around. Now, I didn't say this before, but just so you know, I parked on the edge of my driveway with the nose facing downhill so the coolant better flushes out of the system. Now that it's time to refill everything, I went ahead, flipped the car around, and now the engine is uphill. So all the water and coolant goes into the back where it should be. I only ran this for about 10 seconds, so it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to overheat it. You can start it just for a little bit, enough to position the vehicle where you need it. So, time to fill this sucker up. Alright guys, so here's how I'm going to mix my coolant. I'm going to do this a little bit differently. You can see right here that if you do it 70% antifreeze and 30% water, you can do minus 84 degrees Fahrenheit and plus 276 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's plenty for me right now. I think that's good. It might be a little bit more sturdier than the regular 50-50 mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 2 gallons of the antifreeze and 1 gallon of the distilled water, and I guess that should be I don't know, 33 plus 33, 66. We'll do 66% antifreeze to 33% water. Good enough for me. So I'm gonna fill this 5-gallon bucket with my mix. And this is a great formula because the 4.0 takes about 3 gallons of coolant. So there's my 3 gallons, and I have more over there in case I need some more. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this into my containers very carefully with the funnel. There we go, and I didn't even spill too much, but either way, it's great I got this baby pool to catch any crap. So, let's put this gallon or so in the engine. Alright, one other thing you want to do is check your radiator cap. Believe it or not, your radiator cap could cause you to overheat if it's not functioning properly. I had a heck of a time with my Commander in that overheating video. If you want to see me struggle, check out my Commander overheating video in this card up here. But yeah, definitely check your radiator cap, and I got one with a pressure release valve. This is always good to have. Come to think of it, you should probably just swap out the cap too whenever you do this job. If you do it, you want to get a 16 PSI cap, and you want to make sure that it's compatible with the pressure of your coolant system. So this one's pretty good. I'm going to reuse it, and let me grab my funnel and fill this up. Alright, just going to want to take this nice and slow, because this stuff will bounce right out of the top. Just like that. So nice and easy. Fill her up. Alright, my first gallon of coolant is in. Now, water tries to seek its own level. So, as the coolant level in the radiator rises, so shall it rise too inside the engine block. So, it's going to keep going up and down, back and forth as I fill, and it's going to release air and start gargling out here. So, I'm going to start on my second gallon, and we'll see how much of that it takes inside the radiator. Alright, that's gargling over. Good thing I got that baby pool down there, catching any spillage. And now I think I'm going to go over to the heater core outlet hose and just try to add some coolant into the heater core. That might save me some trouble burping the system with the engine running. Alright, here we go. I'm just going to take this off again. In case you were wondering, guys, yeah, I buttoned up everything. I put all the hoses back on so I could drive this thing up the driveway, and yeah, that's all. It's all good. Everything's back together. Come on, hose. Come on, hose. This is not a ludicrous song.
Use a hoe. I said that use a hoe.
Alright, let's see if it takes anything in here. Alright, I got it to the point where it's coming out of the other part of this tube. So perfect. I'm going to remake my connection. Alright, awesome guys. We got about 2 gallons of coolant in the system right now, and I'm going to add some of the 3rd gallon into the overflow tank, into the coolant reservoir. Okay, she's up to the fill line. Let's start her up. All right, so far so good. No leaks out of the thermostat housing. Awesome. And this water pump looks new. That's pretty sweet. Never realized it. New water pump in the ZJ. Co-General Grievous. All right, you know what? I'm just gonna top off this radiator a little bit. Add some more fluid. Nice. The General is drinking. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cap this up and let this thing get nice and hot. Alright guys, I've been running this CJ for about 20 minutes now. It's nice and hot. It's up at operating temperature. What I did was I cranked up the heat. I put it on full blast and full defrost so it's not blowing in the camera. So yeah, this thing is running nice and hot. We got all the coolant circulating. I think we did a good job topping it off and making sure there's no air bubbles trapped inside. And I'm just going to keep this thing running, keep everything circulating. I'm going to top off the coolant as needed. Just make sure you never open the radiator cap when it's hot. It'll blow up in your face. You don't want that. That's bad. But right now I'm going to go under the hood and show you a trick that I've learned to make sure all the air is out of the heater core to eliminate that gargling once and for all. Alright, let's do it. Alright guys, here's my trick to get every last molecule of air out of the heater core. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the hose that exits the heater core. It's the one to the outside, and we're going to remove this clamp, slide it down and out of the way. Alright, so the engine is hot and it's running, so this hose will be hot. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab it and you're going to slide it down just to the edge of the outlet. And it's going to take a steady hand. You don't want to pull this hose off because that will introduce air back into the system. You don't want that. You want to carefully drag the hose down just to the point where it's about to fall off, but not letting it fall off. Okay, so now we got the hose teetering on the edge. You're going to hold it in place with one hand, and you're going to drill a teeny tiny little hole right on the lip of the hose. So here we go. We're going to carefully drill this tiny little hole almost at the end of the hose, and we're going to be very, very careful not to puncture all the way through to the bottom half of the hose, just the top half of the hose at the 12 o'clock position. Okay, you can see it's immediately spraying hot coolant all over the place. It is hot. Don't burn yourself now. Maybe I should wear gloves. But we're going to let this leak out. We're going to let all the air leak out of this as well. So that's a good thing. Give it a couple seconds, then we're going to push this thing back closed. Alright, so now we're sliding the hose back onto the outlet, and we're going to push this little hole that we made way past the edge of the tube, the outlet tube, and now we're going to put the hose back on. It's going to stop the leaking. The hole will be way, way up there. You'll never have to worry about it leaking. It's going to be alright. trust me, as long as you didn't drill through anything you're not supposed to. Get this back on. Alright, now we're going to put on our hose clamp once again. Still no leaks. Everything's cool. Alright, and wipe everything down. It's definitely burning off a little bit of that sprayed coolant. It's a messy job, but gets the job done. Absolutely no air in the system, I guarantee it. So that's it. That's my trick. All right, guys. Sorry about the darkness. It's night now, but moment of truth. Here we go. Well, alright guys, so since you got a new intro, you're getting a new outro. That's going to be a wrap for my ZJ coolant flush and thermostat change video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to pick up a trick or two. This thing has been running for, what did I say, about a month now? 30 days? And it's been awesome. It's been cool. The heat's been blowing hot. And the best part is, no gurgling sound. Check this out. Moment of truth. No gurgles, no gurgles. So, yeah, that's a wrap, guys. Remember to stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to do a special fundraiser video. Hopefully we'll raise some funds for the Project XJ that I have yet to unveil. The timeline in this video, it was me filming this coolant flush video the day or the evening of the bid I placed. So I placed a bid the night of this video, and well, let's just say it worked out in my favor. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next project. Peace. Oh yeah, don't forget to label your leftover mixed coolant as mixed.